Dystopian California is at it again, proposing wealth taxes on the super rich. Why is this a horrible experiment? Well, it's already been tried in France, and they had to nix it because all the really wealthy citizens left the country, and they were actually deprived of the tax revenue that they wanted for their socialistic policies. And here we are trying the same thing in California, the state that I left, which tried to impose taxes on me after I had already left the state. Fortunately, I'm not that big a fish that they put a lot of effort into it and accepted the fact that in 2017, I announced that it would be the last year that I would be paying taxes in California as I was no longer a resident. But still, that tax bill with the penalties came after me, and I had to spend time to solve it. Now California wants to charge you taxes, not only a wealth tax when you're within the state, and so let's say that you own a corporation. It's worth a lot of money, but you don't have the liquid cash. What are you forced to do? You're supposed to sell your private corporation, give it over to the state because they think that you owe, so that they can spend more money on diversity, inclusion, and equity, on giving away healthcare to illegal aliens who are within the state borders in order to bolster the population count of California so they get an extra electoral vote. This is the state of insanity that California existed. You see, communism can work, so long as you can close off all the borders and erect a wall in Berlin to keep the flow of the population within your country. In the United States, we have something called federalism, where the individual states get to impose laws and taxes that they find will benefit them, that represent their population. And California is doing something, proposing something that is illegal, where they will tax you after you've already moved away from the state. In the United States, it's illegal for two states to collect taxes from you. So if you're not a resident of California, California has no right to the revenue, to the earnings that you create. And all that California is going to do is send a mass exodus of really wealthy people elsewhere who eventually get pushed to the edge. I don't know. Could high crime have any effect on this? Could letting the criminals go over and over again who commit felonies, who rob stores, which is completely legal under California law, up to $950. You can walk in, steal $900 from me, and I can't say a thing. And if I were to prevent you from leaving, I will be charged with assault. This is the dystopian society that California has created. And once again, in communism, it can work if you can completely keep your people in your vast country of Russia. And you can close off all the borders, and you can make it impossible for them. And if somebody were to defer from handing over the grain that they produced, then you could just send them to the gulags or execute them as a warning to others, and there's no escape. But there is escape in the United States, and that is Florida, that is Texas, that is Idaho, Montana. And I only can pray that the people that go to these states switch the voting patterns that enabled California to become this dystopia. They are facing a budget deficit of $25 billion. And I made a video last year, link right here, describing the fact that it's a mirage, the California budget surplus that existed because they had printed all that money, and the capital gains that were flowing into tech were enormous, and that this would disappear. Of course, Gavin Newsom wasted $31 billion as it was stolen from the EDD, in control of the money, by all sorts of different people, from felons in jail getting cards with cash on them to massive criminal enterprises that took advantage of the lack of competence in the EDD. Maybe, just maybe they hired along racial lines because they needed to promote diversity, inclusion, and equity. And this is what you get. This is what you get. And I laugh at this because Gavin Newsom is the greatest U-Haul salesman in history. You cannot rent a U-Haul exiting California, and nobody's coming there. And do you think that there's a reason why? Do you think that these failed policies are starting to show their face? Now they want, once again, to charge a wealth tax on people. This impossibility has been announced in all these blue states because they want control. And once again, this is the public realizing that they can just vote away the producer's money. because they want equity is the excuse. They want a consistent level of wealth, despite the fact that the United States is the wealthiest country on the earth. And if you earn $32,000, you are in the top 1% of worldwide earners. You whiny, lazy effers. You go to other countries and you see how they live, and how in Thailand, during the height of the pandemic when we lived there, they were lining up for $4 worth of oil, cooking oil, and some eggs and other things, $4 per family, and they lined up for 8 hours for that because the opportunities were not available, because the industries of tourism in that specific spot of Thailand were gone. You simply can't mandate equality of people, because the freedom to outcompete another is a driving force in the mating relationships, in the status that people seek, in just the element of creation that some people have. And the problem with giving away money is, if you had given it to me when I had immediately graduated from college and could not pay my $300 a month rent because I was out of a job, and crying because I received a $40 parking ticket in Los Angeles because I couldn't pay, and of course would multiply. If you had given me a couple of thousands of dollars a month, I would have lived on that and lived in the same stupid little room for years upon years. But because nobody gave me anything, I was forced to go out and learn a new skill and develop myself. And today I don't have that same drive, because I don't necessarily need the immediate dollar that is flowing in. But the idea, you are stifling people's potential by giving everything away from free, because I would have never earned what I have and learned the skills that I did had I been given money. I could have sat there and played video games all day and then described and cried out as to how oppressed I am by the world, that I'm still 40 years old and living in that $300 a month apartment, which fortunately with rent control only went up to $340. That is the reality of California today, and the dystopia that they are creating, and why everybody needs to be aware of it and change their voting habits. But it's incredibly hard when people want to give you away something for free, which is what they are bribing you with. And eventually they are robbing you of your potentiality. They are robbing you of potentially leading a good life, a meaningful one. But they don't care, because they just want power and to be elected and to decide how to spend your money, even if you move out of state.